Losing weight is really hard. Trust me. I know. I've lost about 160 pounds since last April. But as you can see, I still have a long way to go. It's been a journey with a lot of ups and downs, and most of that weight has been lost in pretty sizable chunks. Pretty quickly, actually. I definitely could have made this much progress much faster, but I've kept running into setbacks. I think I'm finally starting to understand the key to consistent, long-term weight loss, so that's actually what we're here to talk about today. For those of you who are new here, I've been vlogging my weight loss journey on YouTube here since this spring, so I got about a year head start on my own. If you want to follow along, go ahead and hit subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate it. I try to upload every week, although people who aren't new here know that I've been a little hit or miss lately, but it's going to get better. Consistency really is key, which is actually what we're going to talk about today. There's two things that sort of led me down this path, so we'll talk about both of them. The other day, I saw this Reddit post, and it was someone asking why the keto diet has seemingly lost a lot of popularity recently. And I thought that was really interesting because before all of the weight I've lost in this past year and a half or so, doing keto was really the only success that I've had losing weight as an adult. And it worked great. I probably lost 50 or 60 pounds last time I tried it, and I tried it a few times. But I ended up giving up on it every time because it was just too hard. There's actually nothing really hard about keto. You just don't eat any carbs. When you do that, your body enters a state called ketosis, which causes your metabolism to focus more on burning fat than carbs, obviously. And it helps regulate your insulin, making you less hungry. Kind of similar to how the GLP-1 drugs make you feel less hungry, but, not exactly the same. But let's take a step back real quick. I've said before that to get to a weight like 560 pounds, where I started, there's got to be some kind of deeper issues going on. You don't just snack too much or have a bad diet. You've got to have some kind of mental problems, specifically with your relationship with food, which I obviously do. And I got reminded of that in the past 2 weeks, and we'll get to that more in a bit. But keto was so hard for me just because of how it inherently works. It does not interact well with that food relationship problem that I have. It takes about 2 to 3 days for your body to enter ketosis after you stop eating carbs. That means no cheat days, because if you have a cheat day, or if you slip up one day, it sets you back almost a whole week. And at least in my experience, it makes you feel kind of bad when you're going in and out of ketosis like that, so it's just horrible all around. So at the end of the day, that really just didn't work well for me, and I told myself it didn't work for me because of how hard it was to have a social life doing that. Because realistically, it's pretty hard to completely avoid carbs if you go out to eat with friends and stuff. But I actually think that was just covering up the real underlying issues. So now let's jump to about a month ago. I started doing alternate day fasting, which is where you don't eat anything and only drink water every other day. It was really hard for the first 3 to 4 days, but after that, it actually got really easy. That's a key point. So 2 weeks ago, my roommate and I had a bunch of people come up and stay with us. I told myself that I was going to put off the dieting stuff for that weekend and just have a good time, which was nice. And it seemed reasonable at the time, so I did. So then everyone leaves and Monday rolls around and I start feeling a little sick. Well, it turns out I got COVID in 2025 and it completely knocked me out of my socks. I haven't been that sick in a really long time. This current strain of COVID is bad. It's easily the worst variant I've had for sure, and I've had it quite a few times. So that lasted about 10 days. I was super sick, almost bedridden, just chilling at home. The worst part is I pretty much turned back into my old self that I was before I started my weight loss journey. Doing absolutely nothing, ordering food in, junk food, obviously, just eating out of boredom, all those terrible things that I worked so hard to stop over the past year. And it was just so easy to fall back into doing them, and trying to start up my good habits again after living like that for almost 2 weeks has been horrific, just not working. So, here's my realization. Everyone always says that the key to long-term weight loss is consistency, but I feel like I finally realized what they actually mean, and I didn't before. I'm obviously going to have a bad day here and there. That's just life. It's basically unavoidable. Obviously try and minimize those as much as possible, but they'll happen. The key is that you can't prolong it. If I have a bad day, I need to immediately snap back to the good habits the next day. Maybe even overcorrect. Now that I think about it, that's pretty much what I've been doing in the periods where I've had good success. If I have a bad day and then get lazy and go, well, I had a bad day, another one can't hurt, that's a problem. If you string together a couple of these bad days, you start to fall out of the good habits that you've worked so hard to build. So, from now on, we're just going to live by those rules. That's how it's got to be if I want to win. Speaking of overcorrecting, I'm going to go really hard this week. We signed up for another 5K at the end of October, so we have a little less than 5 weeks left before that. And I actually want to train for this one so that I can actually improve my time. I did improve my time last time, but I feel like to improve it again, I'm going to have to actually put work in. And 5 weeks isn't really enough time to train, but it's a lot better than nothing, so I'll take it. So I'm starting that tomorrow. And I'm also going to lock in and restart my alternate day fasting tomorrow. It's Sunday morning, and I just weighed in at 409 pounds, which is about 10 to 11 pounds heavier than I was the last time I did one of these updates a little over 2 weeks ago. So I have a lot of ground to make up. I want to hit 350 before the end of the year, so that's my new goal. If I really push, I think that's very doable actually, even though that's a lot of weight in a little over 3 months. I've been told that for my job, I'm probably going to be doing a lot of traveling early next year. I'm 6'4", around 400 currently. Flying and coach, well, to be honest, I've never tried. Every time I've flown first class because I was too scared. Honestly, if I can get down to around 300, it might work. I mean, the goal is not comfort. Even at just 6'4", at a healthy weight, it's not going to be comfortable flying in coach, but So if I can get to like 300 before April-ish, I'll feel a lot better about that whole situation. So yeah, to recap. If you struggle with falling off the bandwagon while losing weight, the key is consistency. And I don't mean don't fall off the bandwagon. That would just be terrible advice. The key is to get back up as soon as you fall off. Shoot back up as hard as you can. Don't just continue about your regular life. That's how you end up staying down. Thanks for joining me this week, y'all. Let me know in the comments if you struggled with any of this stuff and how you've overcome it. And I'll see you next week, this time for sure. Peace out.